My friends, I need you to stop what you are doing right now and listen closely, because what I am about to share with you could directly impact the money that hits your bank account this month and in the months ahead. If you are one of the millions of Americans who depend on Social Security, supplemental security income, or Social Security disability insurance to pay your bills, buy your groceries, and keep a roof over your head, then February of 2026 is bringing some important changes and updates that you absolutely need to know about. I have been hearing from so many of you asking the same questions over and over again. When is my check coming? Are we really getting a stimulus payment? Why does my amount look different this month? I completely understand your concerns, because these are not just numbers on a screen. This is your livelihood, your security, and your peace of mind we are talking about. Over the past few weeks, there has been a lot of confusion, a lot of rumors floating around online, and honestly, a lot of misinformation that is causing unnecessary worry for seniors and disabled Americans who are just trying to figure out how to make ends meet. So today, I want to walk you through everything you need to know about your February 2026 Social Security payments, what is really happening with the stimulus check rumors, the exact deposit dates you should mark on your calendar, and some strategies that could help you hold on to more of your hard-earned money. Because here is the truth that needs to be stated clearly. Understanding these payment schedules and knowing your rights is not just helpful. It could mean the difference between paying your electric bill on time or falling behind. And I do not want that for any of you. Now let me start by addressing the elephant in the room that everyone keeps asking about, and that is this whole stimulus check situation. I know you have probably seen headlines, social media posts, and maybe even received text messages claiming that there is a new stimulus payment coming in February of 2026. I want to be completely honest and transparent with you about what is actually happening. As of right now, in late January and early February of 2026, there is no federally approved stimulus check that has been signed into law for Social Security, supplemental security income, or Social Security disability insurance recipients. I wish I had different news to share. I really do, because I know how much a surprise payment like that would help so many of you who are struggling with rising costs at the grocery store, higher utility bills during these winter months, and medical expenses that seem to increase every single year. But here is what you need to understand. There have been several proposals floating around Congress. There are legislators who are advocating for additional payments to seniors and people with disabilities, especially because the 2025 cost of living adjustment increase of 2.5% did not go as far as many people hoped it would, with inflation still affecting everyday costs. Some of these proposals include one-time payments ranging anywhere from $600 to $1,400 for Social Security beneficiaries, while others are pushing for monthly supplements to help offset healthcare and prescription drug costs. The key thing to remember is that just because something is proposed does not mean it has been passed. And until a bill is signed into law and the Social Security Administration officially announces it, we need to be cautious about getting our hopes up based on rumors. That being said, let me give you the concrete information you can count on, and that is your regular Social Security payment schedule for February of 2026. The Social Security Administration operates on a very predictable calendar, and once you understand how it works, you will always know exactly when to expect your money. If you are receiving supplemental security income, your February payment actually arrived on January 31st, 2026. And that is not a mistake. Supplemental security income payments always come on the first of the month, but when the first falls on a weekend or a holiday, the payment comes on the last business day of the previous month, which is exactly what happened this time around. So, if you are a supplemental security income recipient and you saw that deposit hit your account on that Friday in January, that was your February money arriving early, and your next payment will come on March 3rd, 2026. Now, for those of you receiving regular Social Security retirement benefits or Social Security disability insurance, Your payment date depends on your birth date. This is where a lot of people get confused. So let me break it down as simply as possible. If you were born between the 1st and the 10th of any month, your Social Security check arrives on the second Wednesday of every month, which means your February 2026 payment will hit your account on Wednesday, February 11th. If your birthday falls between the 11th and the 20th, you are getting paid on the third Wednesday, which is February 18th this year. And if you were born between the 21st and the 31st, your payment comes on the fourth Wednesday of the month, which puts you at February 25th for this month's deposit. There is one exception to this rule, and that is if you started receiving Social Security benefits before May of 1997. Because in that case, you are on the old system and your payment comes on the third of every month, regardless of your birth date, which means you would have received your February payment on February 3rd, 2026. Now, let us talk about the actual dollar amounts you are seeing in your account, because this is where I am hearing a lot of confusion from folks who thought their checks would be higher in 2026. The 2.5% cost of living adjustment increase that took effect in January of 2026 meant that the average Social Security retirement benefit went from about $1,927 per month in 2025 to approximately $1,976 per month in 2026, which is an increase of roughly $49 per month. For supplemental security income recipients, the maximum federal payment increased from $943 in 2025 to $967 in 2026 for an individual, and from $1,415 to $1,450 for a couple. If you are receiving Social Security disability insurance, your average payment went from around $1,437 to about $1,475 per month. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. That does not sound like much of an increase when you are paying $4.50 for a dozen eggs and your heating bill has doubled from last winter. And you are absolutely right to feel that way. The cost of living adjustment is based on the Consumer Price Index, which measures inflation, but it does not always accurately reflect what seniors are actually spending their money on, especially when it comes to healthcare, prescription drugs, and housing costs that tend to hit older Americans harder than other expenses. But here is something really important that is catching a lot of people off guard this year, and it is something you need to watch carefully on your benefit statement. Your Medicare Part B premium, which is automatically deducted from your Social Security check if you are enrolled in Medicare, increased in 2026 to $185 per month, up from $174.70 in 2025. That is an increase of $10.30 per month that is coming right out of your Social Security payment before you even see it. So, when you do the math, if your cost of living adjustment increase gave you an extra $49 per month, but your Medicare premium went up by $10.30, your actual net increase is only about $38.70 per month. And for some people with higher Medicare premiums based on income, that increase could be even smaller or completely wiped out. This is what I call the Medicare premium trap, and it is something that affects millions of seniors every single year. On top of that, if you have Medicare Part D prescription drug coverage, those premiums can vary widely depending on your plan. And many of those went up in 2026 as well, sometimes by $10, $20, or even $30 per month. So, the bottom line is this. Yes, you got a cost of living adjustment increase, but after Medicare and other deductions, you might not be feeling much richer than you were last year. And I want you to know that your frustration is valid, and you are not alone in feeling this way. Let me shift gears now and talk about something that could actually help you keep more money in your pocket, and that is understanding the tax implications of your Social Security benefits. Because this is an area where a lot of seniors are leaving money on the table without even realizing it. Here is the reality. Depending on your total income, up to 85% of your Social Security benefits could be subject to federal income tax. And I meet people all the time who are shocked to learn this because they thought Social Security was tax-free. The way it works is that the Social Security Administration looks at what is called your combined income, which is your adjusted gross income plus any non-taxable interest plus half of your Social Security benefits. If you are filing as an individual and your combined income is between $25,000 and $34,000, up to 50% of your benefits may be taxable. And if it is over $34,000, up to 85% could be taxable. For married couples filing jointly, those thresholds are $32,000 to $44,000 for the 50% level and over $44,000 for the 85% level. Now, here is the strategy that could help you. If you have control over other sources of income, like withdrawals from traditional individual retirement accounts or 401k plans, you might be able to manage your combined income to stay below those thresholds, which could save you hundreds or even thousands of dollars in taxes every year. This is especially important if you are still working part-time or have investment income, because every dollar you can keep out of that taxable range is a dollar that stays in your pocket instead of going to the Internal Revenue Service. Speaking of working while receiving benefits, this is another area where I see a lot of confusion, especially among people who are receiving Social Security retirement benefits but have not reached their full retirement age yet. If you are under your full retirement age for the entire year in 2026, the earnings limit is $23,400, which means if you earn more than that from working, Social Security will deduct $1 from your benefits for every $2 you earn above that limit. If you are reaching your full retirement age in 2026, the limit is higher at $62,160, and the deduction is $1 for every $3 you earn above that limit. But this only applies to the months before you reach your full retirement age. Once you hit your full retirement age, there is no earnings limit at all, and you can make as much money as you want without any reduction to your Social Security benefits. The confusing part is that these deductions are not permanent. Social Security will recalculate your benefits once you reach full retirement age and give you credit for those withheld months. But in the short term, it can feel like a penalty if you are not expecting it. So, my advice is this. If you are thinking about taking on a part-time job or doing some consulting work, make sure you understand where you stand with the earnings limit, because the last thing you want is a surprise reduction in your monthly check, or even worse, a letter from Social Security saying you have been overpaid and now you owe them money back. And that brings me to one of the most stressful situations that can happen to Social Security recipients, and that is the dreaded overpayment notice. I cannot tell you how many messages I get from people who are absolutely panicked because they received a letter saying Social Security overpaid them by thousands of dollars and now they want it all back immediately. This usually happens because of unreported income, changes in living arrangements for supplemental security income recipients, or errors in how benefits were calculated. And the worst part is that Social Security can start withholding your entire monthly check to recover that overpayment, which can leave you with absolutely no income to live on. But here is what you need to know. You have rights and you have options. First, if you believe the overpayment notice is wrong, you can appeal it within 60 days by requesting a reconsideration. And if you appeal within that time frame, they usually cannot start withholding your benefits until the appeal is resolved. Second, even if the overpayment is legitimate, you can request a waiver if you can show that the overpayment was not your fault and that paying it back would cause you financial hardship. And many of these waivers are approved if you submit the proper documentation showing your income and expenses. Third, if you do not qualify for a waiver, you can negotiate a repayment plan where they only withhold 10% of your monthly benefit instead of the whole amount, which at least leaves you with something to live on. The key is to respond immediately when you get that notice. Do not ignore it. And do not be afraid to ask for help from a Social Security advocate or legal aid organization if you need assistance navigating the appeal process. Now, for those of you who are veterans or have a spouse who served in the military, I want to make sure you are aware of Veterans Affairs benefits that might be available to you, in addition to your Social Security, because these programs can provide hundreds of extra dollars per month that many veterans do not even know they are eligible for. The Veterans Affairs Aid and Attendance Benefit, for example, can provide up to $2,229 per month for a veteran who needs help with daily activities like bathing, dressing, or eating, or up to $1,432 per month for a surviving spouse. And these benefits are not counted as income for supplemental security income purposes in most cases. The Veterans Affairs also has a pension program for wartime veterans with limited income, and those maximum rates for 2026 are $1,116 per month for a veteran without dependents. And these benefits can stack on top of your Social Security without reducing your Social Security amount. The application process can be complicated and often requires medical documentation and proof of your service. But if you served during a period of war, and that includes Vietnam, Korea, World War II, and even Gulf War veterans, you owe it to yourself to look into whether you qualify, because this could literally add an extra $15,000 to $25,000 per year to your household income. Many county veteran service offices offer free assistance with these applications, and I always encourage people to use those resources rather than paying private companies that charge thousands of dollars for help with something you can get for free. As we wrap up here, I want to leave you with a few practical strategies that can help you maximize every dollar of your Social Security and retirement income in 2026. First, if you are married and both receiving Social Security, make sure you have explored all the spousal benefit options, because sometimes one spouse can receive a higher benefit by claiming on the other spouse's work record. And this is especially true for people who had lower lifetime earnings or spent years out of the workforce raising children. Second, if you are receiving both Social Security and supplemental security income, keep meticulous records of any changes in your income or living situation, because failing to report these changes is the #1 reason people end up with overpayments. Third, consider setting up a My Social Security account on the Social Security Administration website if you have not already, because this gives you access to your benefit statements, allows you to see your payment history, and lets you update your direct deposit information without having to call or visit an office. And finally, be extremely skeptical of anyone who contacts you claiming to be from Social Security and asking for your personal information, because scammers are out there every single day targeting seniors with fake calls about suspended benefits or urgent problems that require immediate payment. And the real Social Security Administration will never call you out of the blue and demand money or threaten to arrest you. My friends, I know this was a lot of information, but I hope it has given you clarity on what to expect with your February 2026 payments and helped you understand the truth about the stimulus check rumors versus what is actually happening with your benefits. The most important thing I want you to take away from this is that you are not powerless in this system. Knowledge is power. And the more you understand about how these programs work, the better equipped you are to advocate for yourself and make sure you are getting every penny you are entitled to. If this information was helpful, please share it with other seniors in your life who might be struggling with these same questions. And remember that we are all in this together, fighting to make sure our government keeps its promise to the people who built this country and deserve dignity and security in their golden years.